There are a lot of videos out there right now that are claiming that worship of the sun god and worship of the Son of God is actually the same thing, but as we'll see, that's definitely not the case. Let's begin by looking at a text in the book of Ezekiel where God is showing Ezekiel a list of things that he sees as detestable. The last thing, the most detestable thing in God's eyes, is what he shows him next. Let's go to the text. He says, "You will see things that are even more detestable than this." He then brought me into the inner court of the house of the Lord, and there at the entrance of the temple were about 25 men with their backs toward the temple of the Lord. They were bowing down to the sun in the east. So if it wasn't the Bible writers who first mixed sun worship with worship of God, then who was it that first blended these two religions? That's right. It wasn't Moses, it wasn't Jesus, it wasn't Paul. It was the Roman Catholic Church. Here are a few examples. Have you ever seen this symbol? It's the official symbol of the Society of Jesus, otherwise known as the Jesuits. And the Jesuits are a division or an order of the Roman Catholic Church. The question is, why a sun? And why these three letters, IHS? What do they stand for? Some say it's Iota, Eta, Sigma, the first three letters of Jesus' name in the Greek language. But this just doesn't add up. Why would they use Greek? The Catholic Church is known for preferring the use of the Latin language. And why only the first three letters? None of it makes sense. What does make sense and is a commonly accepted answer is Isis, Horus, Seb, three Egyptian gods that are related to the worship of the sun. And thus you arrive at IHS. Now this supposedly called halo is actually just a sun disk. It was used in Egyptian worship, Roman worship, Hindu worship, Buddhist worship, Greek worship, and so on. And so the Roman Church added a halo or a sun disk to its art. Another place you can find sun worship in the Vatican is on the Pope's own hat. Does it look like a fish? Well, the ancients thought so too. This is Dagon, the fish god. Many of the ancients believed that the sun was actually a fish that each night plunged down into the Western Sea. Then there's the obelisk, used in ancient Egypt to worship Ra, the sun god, but there's also one right in the heart of Vatican City. December 25th, before it was Christmas or any other holiday, was the time of the winter solstice. The Encyclopedia Britannica has this to say: one widespread explanation of the origin of this date is that December 25th was the Christianizing of the Dies Solis Invicti, Nati, day of the birth of the unconquered sun, a popular holiday in the Roman Empire that celebrated the winter solstice as a symbol of the resurgence of the sun, the casting away of winter, and the heralding of the rebirth of spring and summer. We've seen it already before, and here we see it again. The Catholic Church takes a pagan tradition and changes it into a Christian one. The Bible does not indicate that Jesus was born December 25th. In fact, if anything, it points towards a birth in autumn. Easter. Before it had anything to do with Jesus, it was the celebration of the spring equinox. And today its most common celebration is in the form of celebrating Jesus and his resurrection. Well before the time of Christ, Easter was a celebration of the goddess Asherah, later known as Ishtar. She was the goddess of fertility, and that's why we have such symbols as the Easter bunny and the Easter egg, both signs of fertility. There is then no link between the New Testament account of Jesus' resurrection and the celebration of Easter as we know it today.